Okay, so as I mentioned, I'm Renee Finnemore, and I'm one of your academic advisors. And so welcome everybody to this session for Get Ready to Graduate today. And I'll let your other advisor introduce herself.
Hi, everybody. I'm Adriana Kelly. I'm your other academic advisor. It's nice to see everybody today.
And we have our success coaches here today too. So Renee and Barbara, would you like to say hello?
Yes, hello everyone. My name is Renee Montgomery, Success Coach.
Hello, my name is Barbara Bush, Success Coach as well.
So Barbara's relatively new to the team, so hopefully you guys have had a chance to see emails come through from her and also, you know, Renee as well. So you guys should all be in the part-time track, so that would make Barbara your primary contact for success coaches, but Renee as well, you can always reach out to her. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and we can get started with this PowerPoint here. Move all these tools so we can start from the beginning. Okay. So as I said, welcome everybody. We will today be, can everyone see my screen? Yes. Yes, everyone can see. Okay, I've lost my, fully dislike being in this mode, but whatever. So today, these are, the things that we're going to sort of cover. So we'll be talking about filing intent to graduate. So if this is your second to last semester, it's time for you to get started doing this. So we'll walk you through it. We'll talk about commencement information. We have a lot to share for our students that are graduating at the end of this semester. We'll talk about a student spotlight slide and what that is and how you need to complete it, and some things that you can do to get yourself ready for your career in terms of connecting with career services, getting licensed, things you might need for that process. And then we have Ms. Kutchman, who's one of the field faculty, who'll be joining us in a little bit to also share her experiences. So, Adriana, would you like to kick us off and talk about filing intent to graduate?
Sure. If you are graduating this spring, you have already done this. Everybody who is supposed to graduate for the spring has completed their intent to graduate, so you don't have to worry about that. But if you are graduating in the fall, or excuse me, the summer or the fall, if anybody here is, you're going to need to fill out your intent to graduate through MyUCF. You should have received an email from me last week with information on how to submit this, but basically you'll just go to the MyUCF portal, you'll look in your student center, and then in this drop-down menu that says other academic ... you will check intent to graduate apply. And that's how you'll get to the form that you need to complete. Once you're here, it'll ask you a series of questions. Takes about 20 to 30 minutes to fill out. You're going to choose when you're graduating. You might need to say who your advisors are. I think you need to say who your advisors are. You can put either Renee or my name or both. Whatever will fit there is fine. And you will also, then at the end of it, it will tell you to fill out some UCF graduating surveys. You might see something for UCF majors listed in your to-do list, something like that, but that has nothing to do with you. You can ignore that. And be sure that you check the non-thesis option. So we're a non-thesis program. So when you see that question, you'll want to check that option. And that's about it for filing the intent to graduate. It's pretty easy. After you complete it, you can check your status to see if it has been submitted through MyUCF, or you can ask one of your advisors and we can check on it as well.
So spring 2022 commencement, I think I kind of have skipped a slide here maybe, but this is the website that you will go to access all the information. So it's been revised and updated, and there's lots of details on there, and it's much clear in terms of like what your steps are and what you need to do. So the big details sort of to know is that UCF has a formal commencement ceremony at the end of the semester that you're graduating in. It's in person, it's about 2 hours. it's formal, so you'll need regalia, a cap and gown. You must order them through UCF's bookstore through Herff Jones, and you will only receive tickets to commencement if you order cap and gown. So you want to make sure that you order that on time. The deadline to do that was actually last week, but if you haven't done it, you still have time. So you can go ahead and go to the graduation website and click the link and still be able to order your regalia. This semester, there's a limit to 5 guests. So you'll get 5 guest tickets, and everyone who attends needs a ticket. The infants, children, adults, everyone needs a ticket. Commencement is also live streamed. So if you have family members that are out of the area, or you have more than 5 family members who want to watch and you don't have enough tickets, then you can give them the link for it to be live streamed. So they live stream commencement on the UCF Facebook page and also on their YouTube channel. So some things just to keep in mind is that if you're an out-of-state student, you'll see a lot of information about when cap and gown pickup is, and that you must come for cap and gown pickup. And then they offer one solution, which is send a friend or a family member to pick it up. But just know that as an online student, they recognize if you live out of state that might be difficult for you. So if you live more than an hour or so from UCF, or you live out of state, you just need to make sure that you go to the bookstore to pick up your cap and gown prior to the ceremony. So since commencement is at 7 and the lineup is around 5:30 or so, you're going to want to pick up your cap and gown by 2 o'clock on Friday, the day of commencement. So just sort of plan accordingly. So if you think you're going to get into town on Friday morning, one of the first things you're going to want to do is get over to the bookstore and pick up that cap and gown. Stacy, did you want to go ahead and ask your question?
Yes, I'm sorry. Just to go back real quick, I know you had mentioned that those that can't attend commencement, they can live view online. Is there going to be a link or something sent out that we can send to others to be able to watch the commencement live?
Yeah, there's actually the link to do that is actually on that graduation website that I gave you, the ucf.edu/graduation. The link is actually on that page. So when you click on it, it goes to like the last commencement, but it will update when it's live for this ceremony.
Okay,
So,
thank you.
And I try to remember to also like post it on our Facebook group and send it out to students when it's getting close so that they know where to go to and where to send to people.
Perfect, thank you.
You're welcome. So the other thing too is like if you have more family members than you have tickets for, the live stream, they also have a place on campus for people to view that. So there's an alumni center that's near the arena where graduation happens, where family members that you have with you but don't have a ticket can go and watch, and there's no ticket required for that. In addition to that, some students will reach out to members of their cohort to find out if they have extra tickets. So maybe you have a classmate that only needs 3 or 4 of the 5 tickets they were issued. They might be able to meet up with you and give you their extra tickets. Something new that they're trying this year is that at the arena 2 hours prior to commencement, they will have limited additional tickets on a first come first serve basis. So you may be able to get extra tickets at the arena the day of. There's no lottery for that. So, and for students who attended this session last semester, you might have recalled us talking about something called Grad Walk. And that is something that now that pandemic restrictions have been lifted and people are traveling more, they are going back to their pre-pandemic celebrations. So Grad Walk has been retired and that will not be an option for students going forward. So, so commencement is your only opportunity to celebrate in person completing the program. So, and we have a question in the chat. I'm trying to read this here. So Chelsea says, if we decide not to attend commencement, do we still receive the special add-on that goes with cap and gown? And we've been direct count if we can still get the special add-on that is for the graduate students. I'm not sure what that add-on is. So Adriana, are you maybe familiar with that?
I was trying to think. I graduated, 2 years ago now, and I did not attend the commencement ceremony. So when they sent my diploma, there were a couple of additional items within that diploma box that I got. including a tassel. So could that possibly be what you're referring to? I'm not sure what any student going to attend commencement would get additionally other than the tassel. And Stacy looks like she's got her hand up. Maybe she knows.
Oh, sorry, I just never took it down from my
Oh,
last
okay,
question.
that's fine. I just I just noticed it again. Yeah, I'm not sure, Chelsea, but we can
I
if
can
you,
try to explain. I just know that previously I saw, I don't want to call it like, it's just something that's wrapped around, it's like something that's wrapped also on the cap and gown. Like, you know, how I don't know what it's called. I'll Google it and I'll put it in the chat.
Are you thinking of like a stole, sort of like
Yes,
it comes
yes,
around?
yes,
Yes.
yes, yes.
Okay, so the stole is something that students purchase, and you can purchase that without renting the cap and gown, even if you're not going to commencement. So you would just go to that Herff Jones website
Got it.
and you can order that there.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Sorry about the confusion there. So, okay, so that's sort of what we know about commencement for spring. And the tricky thing is that for those of you who aren't graduating until summer, right now, the only thing we know about summer commencement is when it's scheduled. So it will be the weekend of August 5th and 6th. And when it gets closer to that time, I find that what happens is that usually in the first month or so of the semester is when they start to talk about, like, once they get through one commencement, then they start kind of talking about what's going to happen with the next one. So we should see more details about summer commencement, probably like sometime in June, maybe mid-June or so. That's when we'll start to see more of these details. That same website will be updated with the details for summer commencement. So, you know, if you're having to travel, just sort of keep in mind it could be either of those dates. Usually if it's a Friday, it's not super early in the day, and we just sort of alternate. So sometimes we get a Friday evening, sometimes we get Saturday morning or Saturday afternoon. So it just depends on when, you know, when we fall in the schedule. All the programs just rotate through. Okay, so this is one thing that we do in the program to really celebrate you. So we recognize that not all students are able to travel to Florida to attend graduation. And also everything that we've done with you in the program has really been very much cohort based. So you get to know the people in your classes and you become really close. So we prepare a student spotlight presentation that's for everyone in your cohort. And so what we ask of you is to create a single PowerPoint slide to celebrate you. So you're just going to include your name, where you live, any career goals. If you've gotten a job, you can mention where your new job is, or the population or setting that you're looking forward to working with. You can include photos of yourself, your family, your dog, your cat, whatever. A message if you want to, you know, share a message with family and friends. A quote, any of those things are all optional. And you can be as creative as you want. So there's really no parameters on it other than please use appropriate language, and you know, any color scheme that you want to do is fine. And you'll just email that, just create it and email it to me. So if you're graduating in the spring, please submit by May 2nd. And if you're graduating in the summer, July 29th. So one thing that I recommend to students is, although we're a little bit late for spring because we've just had our break, but you'll notice that the date to submit your slide is actually after the end of the semester. So things start to really ramp up as we're coming into the end of April, and you're going to be really busy. So if you have time in your schedule between now and then to do it, I would take advantage of that. If not, just kind of put it on your calendar to do it as soon as you're done submitting your final assignments. Give yourself a little breather and then put that slide together. And for summer students, you know, that break between semesters is a good time to prepare that slide. So you don't need to wait until the semester to send it to me, just send it along and that'll be fine. So those are the deadlines. And then here's some examples of slides that students have created in the past. So just, you know, any sort of color scheme and design, could be one photo, multiple photos. You know, we have some students who put a lot of text on the page, some who only put a little bit of text. If you choose not to create a slide, we will create one for you that will just basically include your name.
We put these together and then we send a presentation to your cohort. So it's not shared widely. So some people like to put pictures of their kids, but we don't post it publicly anywhere. So it's just whoever has the link to view the session, you can go and see it. So it's just a nice way to see your cohort a little bit more and say goodbye as you guys move into your next endeavors.
Okay. Do you want to talk a little bit about career services, Adriana?
I would be happy to. So you can start preparing now for getting ready to graduate. You don't have access to career services after you graduate, so it's a good idea to go and see what they can offer you now. They have things like virtual resume critiques. I think they have sort of sessions where you can drop into. You can go to the website listed here and see what they have to offer. But additionally, interview skills, networking strategies, there's a lot of good stuff on the career services site. And I feel like they update what they offer pretty frequently, so you can see what calendar of events they have going on. So it's a good idea to connect as soon as possible so that you utilize anything that's available to you before you lose access to it. Oh, and it looks like Kathy says in the chat that she recently did the virtual resume critique and it was very helpful. Thank you.
Yeah, I would definitely encourage everyone to take advantage of this service, especially if you're a career changer. If you were in a different field and now you're moving into social work, career services can really help you highlight the things that you did in the past and how that might relate to your new career field and how to demonstrate that on your resume. So rather than providing a chronological resume, you might create a more functional resume to highlight the skills that you built in those past experiences. So those are really some helpful things that they can do. And they offer all sorts of self-guided things, drop-in workshops, scheduled appointments. Everything that they do almost can be accessed remotely. So you don't need to come to campus to access those things. And then licensure, that's a big thing. A lot of students are usually going on to pursue their LCSW or their initial licensure. And this gets a little, I feel like we get in the weeds with this sometimes, especially because students are from all over the country. Every state calls the licensure piece something different. So in some states, when you graduate, you might be pursuing an LMSW, you might be pursuing an associate clinical social worker. In Florida, they call it a registered clinical social work intern. Everyone has sort of a different name for that initial licensure at the master's level. And what you need to do in order to get that initial licensure varies, and what needs to happen in order to become an LCSW varies, but pretty much they all are looking for the same thing, that you have a MSW from a CSW accredited program, which we are, that you've completed some sort of practicum or field placement, which you do, and then that you accumulate some amount of supervised clinical practice in the field after graduation. And this can vary a lot because it could be that they are looking for a certain number of clock hours, or that they're looking for a period of calendar time, or a combination of both. And then also that you pass the national ASWB exam. So that's typically what they look for like the LCSW. To get that initial licensure, they might not be looking for clock hours after graduation, just looking to make sure that you completed a field placement during your time. You may or may not, depending on your state, have an ASWB exam that you need to take in order to get that initial master's level licensure. So sorry, I accidentally clicked backwards. But this is basically how to find the licensure info for your state. And Adriana's a whiz with this, so I'll let her talk about this more.
Yeah, sometimes it can be tricky, especially figuring out what you have to do as soon as you graduate to move ahead with accreditation. So we're getting very familiar with lots of different states. So if you have any question or have trouble finding what you need, feel free to reach out and let me know. There are a few states that will allow you to sit for your exam prior to graduating, but you'll need a letter from the department. So you can also feel free to reach out to me for that, and we can help you do that. It's confusing, but we always find our way through somehow.
So next up is requesting transcripts. So after graduation, a lot of times you're going to have an employer who's going to ask for a copy of your transcript to verify that you've completed your degree. Seeking licensure, they often want a copy of your transcript. So you'll want to request those transcripts. Now, it does take some time for processing after graduation, so it can be anywhere from 6 to 8 weeks, I would say, maybe even 4 weeks, maybe 4 to 8 weeks after graduation before your transcript is updated. So you can go ahead and order that now and just request that it be held. So you will basically log into your MyUCF and go to the Student Center, and then under that academic information dropdown, select transcript request official. And then there's this form. It looks sort of like this. You're going to fill in all the information and where you want that transcript to be sent. And then one thing is that there's a checkbox that says hold for degree. So you want to make sure that you are checking that box so that they wait and send your transcript after they've, processed your degree conferral, and that's reflected on the transcript. So that way, when it gets to its destination, they can see that, yes, this person has completed their degree. Have I forgotten anything here, Adriana?
Nope, I don't think so.
Okay. Great. Adriana, why don't you tell us about requesting the letters for licensure, since you do this the best?
So you will likely see when you are looking for your state's information on getting accredited or for getting licensed that they need a letter that confirms your practicum placement, that confirms that you did a practicum. So you can request that letter by clicking this link. It takes us a few business days to get it out. If it's Florida, we're pretty quick because we're very familiar with the process. Sometimes different states have the need for different signatures or a university seal, that kind of thing, so they can take a little bit longer. But you'll want to submit your request here. And what we're looking for is who you are, what you want your letter. Yep, here you go. Your full name, what you need your letter to say, your name is, and then what your preferred pronouns are, your contact info, when you graduated, and where you completed your clinical placement. So also the state that you are getting licensed in is very important because that helps me match up the information that I know and that I and the contacts I have for where to send it. Then if you know if the licensing board has a preferred method of receiving the letter, some like it electronically, some like it in the mail, you can indicate that as well. So if you also have any additional information on what your verification letter should entail, you can go ahead and put that in the request as well.
Okay, so the big thing is to just remember, to connect with us. So, we will be sending you a link to this video recording and the PowerPoint slide after the session. But just know that, like, in terms of like, if there's any forms you need to complete, any letters you might need, questions about commencement, you can reach out to Adriana. If you have questions about your spotlight slide or questions in regards to getting licensed in your state, those are things that you can come to me for. And of course, at any time you can come to either one of us for either question, so no worries there. And I do want to give our success coaches a moment to be able to talk a little bit about the types of services and support that they can provide to you as you're, wrapping up your time here at UCF and beginning to transition out into the field. So if either of you or both of you would like to hop on and just say a couple words, that would be great.
I'll defer to Renee on this one and let her speak.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. Renee Montgomery, Success Coach here. For those of you that hopped on after the beginning when we did our intros. So I don't know if many of you had the opportunity to work with me or not throughout your time here, but I'm excited for everyone to be graduating soon and moving on to careers and influencing others. As far as assistance throughout the rest of the process, certainly your advisors, as I have the information laid out here, who you contact for what specific items. But certainly if you need assistance for example, navigating the commencement website. I'm more than happy to hop on the phone or have a Zoom session, show you how to navigate the commencement website. If you need assistance navigating your student portal to find, again, where to file intent to graduate, or if you forgot, oh, I need to order those transcripts, how do I do that? Connect with your success coach. I'm happy to walk you through and give you directions on how that would work. Questions about cap and gown ordering, I'm happy to assist in answering those questions or connect you to the right people who may know the answer to those questions or get the answers and relay them back to you. So certainly I'm here for anything that you need to know how to do, again, navigation wise, how to get from A to Z, anything like that. If you need to connect with certain people, I'm happy to be the liaison and get you connected and get answers to your questions. So that's how we can best assist either myself or our wonderful colleague, Barbara Bush.
Awesome. Thank you, Renee. You know, one of the things that I always tell students in every session is what a great asset your success coaches are. And I feel like Renee is downplaying her role so much here because one of the things that they are so great at is helping people with goal setting. And so if you are feeling like I need to figure out what I'm going to do with myself now that I'm getting this degree and I don't even know where to start, or, you know, I have this idea of where I want to go in my career, but I'm not sure what steps to get there, you know, they can really partner with you to help you brainstorm and problem solve and create those plans and help get you sort of on the path that you need to and help keep you motivated as you're getting, you know, kind of wrapping up your time. So it's something to be thinking about. Like if you can take advantage of their services before you graduate, you're paying for it as part of your tuition and fees here at UCF. So certainly kind of, you know, having a session or two with them to really kind of talk through some things and having them help you figure out where to find those resources that you might need. They're a really great benefit to you here as a student. So, you know, in addition to the technical navigation of things, they really can help you in terms of like big picture thinking and all of that good stuff. So, so those are the big things that I always think of with the success coaches. So, I guess I'm trying to figure out, does anyone know if Ms. Kutchman has joined us yet?
I do not see her name.
Okay. Well, while we're waiting for her, she did tell me she was going to be hopping on around 12:30, and it is just 12:30 now. But I think this might be a good time to sort of open it up to everyone for questions on any of the things we've discussed thus far.
I have a question about the letter for the LCSW. Is that
Sure.
something that we can go to the website and ask for now, or do we need to wait till we graduate to ask for that?
No, you can go ahead and submit it now. What I do is I will hold it until final grades post, just so I can be sure that you're earning that diploma, and then I'll send it out afterwards. But you can feel free to submit your request now.
Awesome, thank you. And so if we're applying to do the LCSW, do we request the transcripts like after we graduate, like come to us and then we send it all over in a package if we're applying for licensure in Florida? Do you know?
I believe Florida prefers it comes directly from UCF. So you want to put the licensing board address in the website where it says where to send it. It's always a good idea to have a copy of it in case you suddenly need an official transcript. Just remember not to open it. But for Florida, I'm pretty sure they like it to come directly from UCF.
Perfect, thank you. That's all I have.
I had two questions, if that's okay.
Of course.
So my first one was kind of about the license. Obviously, we're going to be registering, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, for a registered intern.
Yep.
Are we
in Florida,
still,
sorry.
Yes, correct. Are we still able to like apply for that, even though we're going the license, even though we're going to have to do a certain amount of hours before getting the license?
Yes, so that's the first step. So you have to become a registered clinical social work intern in order to be approved to be supervised to earn the hours, so you can become an LCSW.
Yes.
That's the process. Yeah. And Renee included a link there that's excellent and shows you exactly what you need in Florida to submit your application to become a registered clinical social work intern. And that's a mouthful, I know.
And then I had my other question in as well as Shonda. Are we going to be able to get this PowerPoint emailed to us afterwards in case we missed a couple of slides of info?
Yes, we will send it out to you afterward.
Perfect. Thanks so much.
Sure.
I have a question for as far as the cap and gowns for summer. Is there a specific time frame that we'll be ordering, or will we get notice of like when we should place our order for our cap and gown?
You should get notice. I don't know exactly what the date will be, but if we check the website from last summer, we can give you kind of a time frame as to when you might expect to be ordering. They're pretty good about emailing any student who submitted the intent to graduate to make sure that you have all the info that you need. But if you give us a minute, I'm sure we can check the website and see if there's a time that there has been in the past, so we can kind of be prepared for that. But they haven't posted any information about the summer commencement yet, so we don't have the official dates.
Okay, that's fine.
While we look for that, if anybody else has any questions.
Adriana, I mean, I'm looking at the website, and part of the upgrade, it looks like they've removed the option to
took
see
the
previous
old ones.
semesters.
Oh
Yes.
no. So Paula, we're gonna look into that and I'll get back to you.
I mean, if I were gonna guess based on the current semester, students ordered that like early on, like maybe like the second month of the semester. So I would guess that you're probably gonna be looking to order in June sometime. We do try to monitor that website and sort of let people know like, hey, it's been updated, the information is there for you and ready for you to ready for you to to access. So so we too try to keep you up to date on that. So sorry, give me 1 second. Maybe Adriana can continue my thought, but I just got a message that Ms. Kutchman's having trouble getting into the session.
Sure. Okay, yeah, no problem. Yeah, they just, like Renee was saying, they just did an upgrade to that commencement site. We used to be able to go back and look and see previous sites. But yeah, June is about the time frame. And honestly, they really let you get it up until, up until the ceremony, basically, in case you miss the deadline or whatever. So they want you to participate. So they make it pretty easy.
This is Stacy. I have a couple of questions.
Sure.
As far as graduation, I have already received the portion of the Herb Jones, like my announcements and things that to my house. Do I just assume that you guys have received my cap, gown, and all that stuff, or is there a way I can follow up to make sure?
We can give you a contact number and an individual that you can check on that with, but I feel pretty confident that if you got your announcements and stuff that you are all set with your cap and gown to be ready and there for you when it's time for commencement.
Okay, and we have to turn them in immediately after graduation?
I believe so.
Okay, and it says Barnes and Noble. I mean, I'm in Central Florida, but I'm not in Orlando, so I don't know, like, is that on campus or?
It is. It'll be right near the arena where you're going to be, where the commencement takes place.
Okay.
So it's very easily accessible from right after the ceremony. You'll be able to drop it off right there without having to go anywhere else.
Okay, thank you.
All right, if there are no other questions, then we can just take a few minutes to break while Ms. Kutchman gets in. Oh, it looks like there's a question in the chat. Can gowns only be rented? We can't keep them. Correct. Yep, the gowns are just to be rented. You'll keep your tassel that you received, but everything else is to be returned. Something else to mention about the caps and gowns. Some people like to not use Herff Jones or try to find an alternate route to getting the cap and gown because they might have had somebody who graduated nearby, maybe have the same colors, but they won't let you participate if you are not wearing the appropriate regalia from Herff Jones. So something to keep in mind. It is kind of expensive, but that's something that they will not allow you to come and be part of the ceremony unless you're wearing that.
Also good to mention is that if you don't order through Herff Jones, you won't be issued tickets. So students are required to wear cap and gown from Herff Jones, and that's the only way to get tickets. But Paula, even though you're returning the Gallia, you do get to decorate your cap. So actually on that commencement website, there's information about the stipulation on what they want that to look like in terms of how big the decorations can be and that sort of thing. So there's all of that info's on the website. So, oh, and Miss Kutchman was able to join. Thank goodness. These links were not working. So sorry. I thought I was being helpful by making you a host so that you'd have no issue getting in. And then of course, once the meeting got started, I couldn't change that. So I'm not sure what happened, but thank you, Adriana, for saving the day and getting that squared away. So welcome, everyone. I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Kutchman and she can introduce herself and just, talk a little bit about, what it was like when she first graduated with her MSW and getting started in the field. And then you guys can feel free to ask her some questions.
Hey, everybody. It's so good to see everybody. I see a lot of familiar names and faces. So, well, thanks for having me. I guess just starting out, I've been in the field. I guess I'm going on my 20th year this year. So that's kind of amazing. And I can't believe it. I feel like it hasn't been that long, but it's been a great journey. And I can look back and I can say even the down parts, I've loved every part of the journey because just learned so much along the way. I can share with you kind of where I started, I guess, and then kind of where I am now. And then I definitely open to questions that you all might have. I did make a few little notes, things to kind of share that I found helpful as I moved through my career. But I started out at a nonprofit here in Central Florida. It's one of our biggest mental health hubs. And I was an outpatient therapist it was called Aspire, then it was called Lakeside Alternatives. And I worked with children in an elementary school, and then little by little, they added a few extra schools. So I finally was managing about 5 schools from elementary to middle to high, as well as a community center as an outpatient therapist. And I loved getting to work with the kids. I started out with a lot of play therapy trainings and certifications, and they taught me so much. And one of my little ones, he said, "Miss Christina, you don't know how to play anymore." And so he taught me. He was right. I had forgotten. I had a great imagination as a kid, but I had forgotten that piece. So it was great to journey with the kiddos and then teach me their language through play. And then from there, I went into work with the Coalition for the Homeless, and I worked with kids again. I ran groups for my littles, 4 to 6, and then 8 to 12, and 13 to 17, as well as worked with a lot of the families that were dealing with homelessness. And then with that program, I got to work under the Victims of Crime Act for women and children who had been victims of domestic violence. And that was probably my heart. I say that a lot. I walked in that agency, I remember, for the interview, and I felt this sense of I'm home. This is where I knew I was supposed to be. And I was there probably for the longest span of my career. Loved every minute of it. Definitely went through challenges, burnout, some tragedies, lost some clients due to violence and health issues as a result of neglecting due to the violence that they were enduring. But wow, I just learned so much from their journey and being able to be part of that. And then from there, I moved into a small kind of counseling company where I kind of helped them start from the ground up. And I was licensed at that point, and I was their clinical director. And that was neat to see that behind the scenes, starting up a company. And then I've worked in small case management company after that. And then now I have my own private practice that I've had. It was kind of slow on the side for more in the beginning stages, and now it's a little bit more full-time, along with getting to teach seminar online and in the traditional track on campus. And I feel like that's kind of sums up my journey so far and where I'm at. All age ranges, and it's been great along the way. So, and little pieces of wisdom, I guess I wanted to share that I had gone back to school after my first placement. I definitely reached a burnout after my first job in the field, juggling so many schools and community center, and I kind of learning how to set boundaries, how to say no, how to kind of speak out with the employers. That was, I guess, the lesson I learned there. But I had gone back to school to just take some classes and kind of figure out where now. I knew I loved the field, but the burnout hit pretty strong. So I was questioning. It led me to question this is where I'm supposed to be. So I think that can happen, and that's a danger. We don't want to let it happen because it's such a great field. And I knew I went back to take some substance abuse classes, and I knew I didn't want to leave the field. And then the door opened for the shelter. And like I said, that was like a breath of fresh air. It was a different setting, a different, similar age ranges, but not dealing with billing, dealing with grants, which was, that shift was exactly what I needed. And so I learned that when we're facing burnout, sometimes it doesn't mean that, is this field, we might question that. Is this what I'm supposed to be doing? I know that's what happened to me. Sometimes we just need a change. We need a shift. And that's what's so beautiful in the field of social work, that there's so many different avenues that we can work and help serve. And if we have that heart for service, that's what I learned, that shift is exactly what I needed. And it just rejuvenated my whole passion and love and for the field. And so that piece of advice. And when I went back for the substance abuse classes, the professor there, he said, master one theory of practice, really master that, because social work, we can be a little eclectic, right? There's so many areas to work in, so many avenues. And I was definitely eclectic. I was a general practitioner, and I had bits and pieces from a lot of different theories that I was pulling in on, but I hadn't really mastered one. And I was a couple years in at that point, and that really resonated with me. And then we can build from there, right? There are so many wonderful tools. We want to keep building and growing our knowledge, but that really resonated with me. And so I did. And then my journey was, I was working on play therapy, but CBT was always the theory of practice that really resonated with my personality and what came natural to me. So that was the one I honed in on after that, and trainings, and just try to master that and then learn about all the other along the way. Those great trainings we'll get to take part in. So that little piece of advice. And then licensure, if you are wanting to get your license, start the process sooner rather than later. And I know that's what you all probably discussed in the beginning part here, but because it takes time, but as soon as you get registered, depending on what state you're in and what the guidelines are here in Florida, once we're registered, we can start counting all of the work we're doing. So our hours, the client work we're doing, we can start counting that if we are registered and under a qualified supervisor with the state. Otherwise, all that work that maybe we did for a year or 2 or 3 years before we got registered, it won't count towards the licensure requirement. And I experienced, I dragged my feet for about a year, and then it took about 6 more months to fill out, get the supervisor, get everything set up. So a year and a half in, I had been doing the work, but I couldn't count any of those hours. So those are my little pieces of advice. But I want to open the floor for questions that you guys might have for me about the journey. No? Okay. All right. Well, the last thing I kind of like to leave with is that it's one of my favorite poems. I don't know if I've shared it with my past classes, but it's the Starfish story. Have any of you heard of that story? No. So it resonated with me. I heard it in a training, but it's about older gentleman was walking along a beach shore one morning, early morning, and he saw up in a distance like a figure, and it was a young man. He saw him, kept walking back and forth from the water to the shore, back and forth. As he got closer, he saw the young man was picking up starfish that had, you know, come up on the shoreline, and he was throwing them in back in the water one at a time. And the old man said to him, you know, what are you doing? This is a waste of your time. There's thousands of these starfish. You're not going to be able to save them all. And the young man said, well, he leaned down, he picked up one and he tossed it back in the water. He said, I made a difference to that one. And so why that resonated with me, because there's so many people, right, that we're going to be serving. We may not be able to help them all in the way that we hope or see, but to remember the difference that we make to those, maybe those few that we know were able to achieve their goals, able to reach, you know, what they wanted to reach in the time we got to work with them. And I think that's big to hold on to, because when we do face burnout, face fatigue, or just getting tired, remembering those cases that those individuals we were able to help, we were able to see, get back in the water in essence and keep on swimming. So that's what I wanted to kind of leave you guys with for today. Good. I know for my class, I try to do that. I will do that in our summer session. It's like kind of a licensure review. I'm knowledgeable about Florida, of course, a lot, but I open the floor and kind of go through the requirements, and we can unpack that if you all, anyone that would like to. I'm going to open the floor to that next semester. So, but if anyone has any questions right now, I'd be happy to answer that. Otherwise, I'll let you keep working on the other parts with preparing for graduation. Okay. All right. Well, I thank you all so much.
Thank you so much, Ms. Cushman, for coming and joining us and working through those technical challenges to get in here and share your wisdom with us. So I think that you gave everyone a lot of really good information, which led to no questions. You just covered all the bases, which is great. So thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Well, you all have a great rest of your day, and we will be in touch.
Thank you.
Take care.
Okay.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Okay, so before we close for the day, are there any more final questions before we end today's session? Okay, so as we mentioned earlier, everyone in your cohort, whether they registered for today or not, will receive an email with a link to this session and a copy of the PowerPoint, as well as something else. I did reach out to someone in the at university events to follow up on Stacy's question about confirming that we've received the cap and gown order. So as soon as I get that information back, I'll be sure to share that with you all as well. And then for students who are getting ready to graduate at the end of the semester, start working on that student spotlight slide because it'll be here before you know it. And for students who are graduating this summer, you've got some time to work on that slide, and also know you'll get invited to another session like this next semester. So we will then have more detailed information about your commencement to share with you, and also any changes that might have happened in terms of like how to get resources and that sort of thing. So it's a good kind of refresher when you're getting closer to your actual graduation. So thank you everybody for coming today, and I hope everybody has a good rest of the semester.